Am I recording on here? Oh god, I hope it focuses now. A while back when I was producing under the name Corporate, I ended up making a track called Forward, which was one of the only 270 BPM tracks I've ever made. And that was a really fun track to make because I tried something I hadn't tried before, and I'm going to call it dopamine edging. As a producer, it's really easy to get excited about what I'm working on. And then I start pressing play, and then I keep pressing play, and then I keep listening to it. And then by the time I'm finished with the track, I'm also burned out of the track and I never want to hear it again. So I tried to figure out what would get me most excited and delay it. As a drummer, I realized that when I build the drums into the song, I really start grooving with it and it starts getting super exciting. So in the case of Forward, I didn't build the drums in. I told myself I couldn't put any drum in there until I was about 90% finished with the song. All other parts had to be finished before I threw the drums in. And I think that worked to my advantage because I ended up finishing the track in 4 days and I was able to spend the rest of my time just playing the track and enjoying it. This is a really cool exercise. I've done it like 1.5 times since then. The strange thing was that my memory got very used to hearing the song without drums in it. And so the moment I added the drums, it sounded foreign and strange. And it took like 24, 48 hours to actually get used to what the song sounded like with drums. Anyway, hopefully the Ableton file isn't falling apart. So nearly the whole time I was producing the track, I was just listening to it like this. Since we're here, I should go over this heavy dubstep bass. That was a blast to make. And it came out really growly. And it's done with operator. Up here at the beginning, you've got a couple important synths grouped together, both from operator. One is just a sine wave providing a solid note of bass, and the other one is a bunch of saw waves that are layered on each other. In fact, I'm using this square pattern in operator. I don't know why I didn't just layer them like this, but that works. And you can see that I've messed with the fine tuning. And I'm just going to go ahead and turn off all the effects so you can kind of see chronologically what happened. You've got a bunch of saw waves slightly delayed from each other playing. It's got a filter on it. I decided to stick a gate on there, which is really odd. I've got a note at the octave of the actual MIDI note, and then I've got one that's an octave up. And what I'm trying to do is get everything to clip to the first octave. There are other ways to do this. I cover that stuff in my redef tutorial, so check that out. Great, so we got a bunch of offset saw waves. I add a chorus to offset them even more. Utility, and I'm just automating the mid side, so it goes to mono a little bit at times, and then I've just amped the whole thing. It's starting to sound magic, right? So then there's a EQ8 that's it's just taking out the bass a little bit afterwards, so it kind of goes. I would automate these on the main timeline if I did it now. For some reason, I thought it was a cool idea to do it inside the MIDI track. And the issue with doing this is that you have to toggle between each one to see them. When you do it on the main timeline, you can see it while you're editing the whole song, and you can add a lane for each automated envelope. Magic happens when I self-vocode the whole thing. So it goes from that to, oh my god. I've set the carrier to modulator, and then I've messed with, this sort of acts like an equalization. Definitely check the bands and the range. Just play around with those until you find something that sounds good. The depth is up really high. And I find using the depth and then just turning it really, really high, as long as the thing that comes before the vocoder is extremely noisy, you get a pretty cool result. After that, there's some automated reverb, limiter, and then something that pulls the high end back up. I would probably use a multi-band dynamics to do this now and just expand the high ratio. And there you have it. It's super crunchy. I like how that came out years ago. That main high synth was inspired by this track in the Mirror's Edge soundtrack that goes boot for a little measure and then goes boot. It's a really odd track by Solar Fields. But I guess I kind of built the main melody to sort of be like that. So that high end does this really cool thing where it appears to emerge out of the bass with that sort of clipped sound. And I'm achieving that using a sidechain gate and I'm just sidechaining it back to itself, but I'm sidechaining it to a different part of it. So if I go to 12 instrument, and then you'll notice it sidechains to a specific instrument rack, which I call the gate follow. And I've done some other tutorials like this, but at the very beginning of this, you've got the instrument that actually plays, and then I've got a muted instrument called the gate follow, which is just a really low note that's playing. So the only thing you have to make sure to do is your main melody needs to be octaves lower on the MIDI scale so that the gate follow works. And then this one, you can see it's 8 octaves up. I could have also put the gate follow on the heavy dubstep bass, which I probably would do now. Here are the drums, which were added at the end. There's a recording of me just saying just and whispering it because I just wanted it to sound that way. It kind of sticks through a little bit loudly in the final recording. I'd probably turn it down, but whatever. I have a tutorial on making snares that covers pretty much how I made the snare in here. So I would visit that if you want to see how this was made. And I also have a DLC pack of all drums I've ever made, including the kick and snare and hat and everything from this, which is available at my website. I'll put a link in the bio or whatever. I think the weird like metal clangs are in there too. I specifically remember these as recordings in my kitchen of like various silverware stuff. Before I forget, I'll hit the intro really quick because it uses some similar synth techniques. Once I had created the main bass for the drop, I just muffled it so you can see the same copy of it. I'm just taking it and pitch dropping it and such, but I wanted it to sound like it was sort of changing shape. So there are a couple other instruments that are sort of mixed in there in a way that I was trying to make it sound like one sound was transforming itself when really it's just like 3 different sounds playing. So there's this weird one, which is sort of like water-ish. That's achieved with a very similar technique, stacked saw waves. And then I've put them through a vocoder, but before I put them through the vocoder, I stuck them through a phaser and I automated the phaser. So there's the phaser automation right here. In fact, if I take the vocoder off, it sounds awful. Again, my point too, as long as the depth's up high enough, you can make whatever is before the vocoder super noisy. And then it'll go, all right, and makes it all like, then there's this little echoed sine wave that's using the frequency modulation benefit of using operator to its advantage. You can see that the main note is at 16 and 32 times the octave, and then I have a much lower note there that is sneaking in and causing it to kind of sound like it's an octave lower for a second. That section also repeats itself right before this big sort of orchestral opening that I do in the break. The breakout section has this sort of choppy feel, and that's because I took the entire thing and put it through an auto pan, which is acting like a tremolo in a way. But instead of just straight up doing it to the entire section, I did it to the low and mid bands at different amounts. So this is a chain that I show in a few other tutorials that I call multiband effects. And all I'm doing is using a multiband dynamics plugin and soloing the low, mid, and high regions of the song to basically separate those bands into separate effect chains. And then after it, I stick my effects on there. So in the case of this break, where I wanted it to feel a little constricted, on the low, I turned the amount up to about 51% on an auto pan. And then on the mid, I did a little bit more. And then on the high, I completely turned it up. So the high is completely cut out, mid shows through a little bit, and then the low definitely shows through. So it's not completely cut out, but a little bit. But, here's the part I've always wanted to show, is what it actually sounds like without all that restrictive stuff on it. I loved making that part. There's all these little details in there, like just like textural stuff, and you know, I just went wild. I love doing stuff like that. It's very like, you know, Pendulum's wall of noise thing that they used to do. The second part has this addition of this cool little harmonic main synth that comes in, and it's mixed with the heavy dubstep bass, but I mute the dubstep bass so you just get the low end. That one's a bit similar to every other synth I've made in most of my tutorials. It's made in Operator. I'm doing some harmonics. If you have any specific questions about that, feel free to add them in the comments. I think I spun up a separate Ableton file just to make this jet noise. It was this like thing off of Freesound where this guy was saying target locked, engage, and then I mixed it with a bunch of other jet noises. Overall, what a fun track to make. It was just an adrenaline rush to build it in 4 days too. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and enjoyed my pseudo YouTube setup. Trust me, it's jank, but it works, right?